Welcome back, everybody, to another breaking news. Since when are news not breaking coming out from China? So just yesterday, based on the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act, a list of around 80 odd companies were added to that list again. And more importantly, to build upon a recent concern from one of the robo-advisors out here in Singapore, which is namely Stashaway. So for those of you who haven't checked out that video, I'll post a link to this particular video in the description box down below. So in that particular video, we then kind of explored what the CIO were essentially saying on why they exited all their Chinese positions. And mainly it's due to sanction risk. And I think as the day goes by, sanction risk actually does seem to be a lot more pronounced and does seem to have a much higher probability. And let's explore this in today's video. So this essentially is the webpage of the US SEC. And specifically speaking, it's about this HEFCA Act, which is Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act. And right down in this list, recently, they added a whole barrage of new companies and specifically new ADR shares. And the more notable ones will include Luckin Coffee, which is actually trading over the counter currently. And then you have your Li Auto, your Pinduoduo, Bilibili, Tencent Music Entertainment, Xpeng, JD.com, Huya, NetEase, New. And as you can see, a lot of all these are considered retail favorites, especially in the electric vehicle space with your Li, Xpeng, and New. And also, you have big players in the Chinese market like JD and Pinduoduo. So as you can see here, these companies were just added yesterday onto this list. And more importantly, I think for most of my viewers out here, what does this mean for Alibaba? In short, I think the answer is it means nothing. We all know that the HEFCA concern is a drag on all these different Chinese companies. And sooner or later, Alibaba is going to be added into this list after they close out their financial year. And for those of you who don't know, Alibaba actually conclude their financial year in March. So presumably speaking, after they announce the Q4 of 2021, that's when they will also be added into this list. So it's not new news, but of course it makes great headlines saying that, oh, Neo is going to be delisted, Xpeng is going to be delisted, your JD, your Pinduoduo, all these tech Chinese conglomerates are all included into this list. So from here on, what does this mean for Chinese companies? Essentially, the Chinese regulators and the US regulators have to come together and to come up with a consensus. If within the next 3 years they are unable to work something out, then yeah, they will all be delisted and to go back to Hong Kong Exchange itself. So in particular, there's nothing breaking about this news. So I think the more important and concerning news that actually came out yesterday was really this idea about the sanctioning. So I believe many of you are actually concerned about this tail end risk about the US sanctioning China. Sure, I think as logical investors, if you were to sit down and to run through all the plausible scenarios, we think that it's a highly improbable scenario due to the huge amount of ramifications. But I think as the day goes by, I think the risk is slowly being amplified, where US regulators, the US Treasury Department, or other arms of the US government is slowly pushing the line. And this is just one of those examples. So as you can see, as Reuters reported, US considers imposing sanction on China's Hikvision. So the United States is moving towards imposing new sanction on Chinese video surveillance company Hikvision. And of course, it's because of the Uyghur issue. So the potential sanction will be administered by the US Treasury Department. So they essentially publish the SDN list that prohibits American companies or citizens from trading or conducting financial transactions with those listed and freezes assets held in the United States. So more importantly, experts do say that the possible sanctions would increase tensions with China. So in essence, the entire idea of sanctioning is just saved for deployment in the case of a more active conflict with China. And I believe for many of you, we definitely do not want things to escalate between the two global powers, because ultimately, it's going to be bad for both countries. However, this is the reality that we are living in, and both sides are continuously pushing the line and pushing the boundaries. At the end of the day, nobody in the world knows where this line will be drawn. So for those of you who have vested interest in Chinese equities, please keep this tail end risk in mind. Probable or not, plausible or not, I'll leave it up to you to decide. So with that, I'll see you in the next video, but more importantly, I will see you on the moon. Goodbye!